Hey everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I am going to share my thoughts and opinions about the whole Stephanie Soo and Nikocado Avocado situation. I know that it has been maybe a week and a half since everything has transpired. It's a lot to unpack, and especially if you don't know who these people are, it was just a lot to kind of like filter through and to see and to allow myself to, one, to be unbiased, to allow both parties to say their piece. So just know that my opinions are exactly that. They're my opinions. They're not fact. I just want to let you know right now, I have an unpopular opinion. I'm looking at things from both sides. I'm not just listening to one person on either end and like, you know what, they're a liar, they're this, they're that. I don't know either party. And the only reason why I decided to talk about this situation today is because it was on my Twitter timeline and I swear to goodness, that's all I saw. So I was like, okay, what are y'all talking about? One, let me tap into this. So then I decided to kind of like dive in. And when I got started with looking up these two, watching their videos alone, I was like, Christ, no turning back now. I'm already all in. I wrote notes. These are my notes, Jen. Notes. Watching one video and moving on. I really took some time to do a little bit of research and come up with a solid opinion, at least in my opinion. So anyway, so if you're interested in hearing my thoughts and opinion about this whole situation, by all means, stay tuned. But before you get all cozy, there is a subscribe button that is located right over here. Alongside of it is a notification bell. You definitely want to click both buttons to make sure that you don't miss another video from your girl. So go ahead. They're right there. Click it. It's a lot. So let me just start off slowly. I'm hoping and praying that this is not going to be a super long video, but it just might be. Both of their videos, well, all three videos that were pertaining to this situation were both like almost damn near 3 hours of video. If you really cared to know what the hell they were talking about, you had to sit through it. Point blank period. Like, you can't come up with an opinion if you just watch 10 minutes of each person's video. Like, you just can't. But anyway, so what made me decide to talk about it was, I don't know what day it landed on, or what day it was, period, where I saw, and I'm gonna put my tweet up here. I had saw a post of the security surveillance where it appeared that Stephanie Soo was under distress. One, if you don't know who Stephanie Soo is, she is a mukbanger, mukbanger, where, well, hold on, rewind. So before I continue, let me tell you who these people are. So Stephanie Soo and Nikocado Avocado are both mukbangers. Anyway, they eat food for a living, honey. They eat food for a living. They vlog, whatever. And that's pretty much what it is. Let me tell you, just real quick before we get into it, to watch some of their videos just to get an insight of who these people were, to get a feel about how their personalities are and stuff like that. I sat through some mukbang videos, and let me tell you, I wish I would have came across these videos a long time ago, because honey, it would have helped with my own eating habits, because watching that made me nauseous. Like, all the smacking and the slipping, it is some type of spirit. But anyway, what made me get into this whole situation, or to look into the situation, was a surveillance video on Twitter, and it appeared that Stephanie Soo was under distress. She looked like she was having a panic attack, and someone in the video was trying to calm her down. Based on the caption that I saw, and based on the comments that I was reading underneath the surveillance video, they were talking about Nikocado Avocado, and it appeared like maybe it was him that was causing a commotion in the surveillance. Now, that surveillance that was put out may have been after Stephanie Soo did her first video, but a person who doesn't know either party. Like, I knew of Nikocado Avocado from other situations that he had with other YouTubers. The only one I know, let me take that back. The only one I knew he had a situation with was Trisha Paytas. And that's how I, knew of his face or whatever. So then when people were talking about how bad of a person Nikocado was, I was like, hold on. It doesn't look like that's who is in this surveillance. And then they were like, oh, no, it's not him. It is her fiance. Now, with the initial tweet, I will say Nikocado was being bashed and, his character was questioned in it. So I'm just like, okay, well, let's go watch this video. What did this guy do? Because how it was coming across in the comments without me seeing nobody's videos, it initially appeared to me like he did something to her. He violated her space. He did something that was inappropriate. So please forgive me if I keep looking down. I have hellified notes that I want to refer to, and I don't want to miss anything, skip over anything. I definitely just want to dive in and just go over my initial thoughts and opinions and stuff like that. Okay? So in her first video, it started off by her stating that her words were being manipulated and that her words were being twisted into doing things that she did not want to do. So with that first statement alone, you're like, well, goddamn, what happened? So anyway, so then when she stated that just in the opening, you automatically think, damn, something effed up just really happened to her. She stated that Nikocado used his platform to threaten and bully her. Hold on to all of that. So before we keep going, please comment down below when you hear the word threatened and you hear the phrase being bullied. Where does your mind automatically go? I want to know right now. What do you think? And these are what I'm about to say is a quote from her. I feel like I have been manipulated by fear and that I can't say no to him and just want to take my power to say no. She starts crying. I don't even know what happened yet. So this is how the video starts. I do not know what just occurred. I think not even the first 3 minutes. This is what I know. Her words are being twisted. There was manipulation involved and she could not say no to him. It's a lot of heavy stuff, you know what I mean? So after saying that, she starts talking about the history of their friendship, okay? Again, these are YouTubers. This is how they met on the YouTube platform and wanting to collaborate with one another. They decided to finally collaborate after she had said no a few times, blah, blah. Finally, Nikocado finally went to LA to do a collab with her and another YouTuber by the name of Zach Choi. So after talking about, their friendship or whatever, she stated that she had trust issues. And the reason why she had trust issues because she was assaulted in her home. So when she made that comment, sexually assaulted in her home, a picture of her and Nikocado Avocado was up. So then again, you make a statement like that, you post a picture of you and that guy. Again, in the comment section, where does your mind go? And the reason why I definitely want my audience to interact with me is because I want people to think things through. Like, before you get all like emotional and want to pick a side, really listen to both parties, to their statements, to their content, to just listen to them and see what you come up with by yourself. One, if you haven't seen their videos, please go and take your time, and it's going to take a day now. It's a whole work shift. So with her posting the picture of Nikocado, I was like, why is this necessary and how is it relevant? You know what I mean? So anyhow, there's this other mukbanger, forgive me if I'm not saying that right, that is the highlight of this whole situation. And her name is Veronica Wang. If y'all want to go look her up and find who she is, by all means, knock yourself out. But she's another mukbanger. So I guess apparently last year there was a situation, and I had I had to research what that situation was, because I one thing, you can't talk about stuff around me and I'm clueless to what the hell you're talking about. Like, I can't sit in a room with somebody like, yeah, did you know so-and-so did so-and-so, and did you know? And I'm like, well, what they do, just so. So I went in and did some research on what Shukbang and Veronica Wang was. So anyway, Veronica Wang, again, is a mukbanger. And apparently last year there was a situation where Stephanie Soo collaborated with her. Veronica Wang got a YouTuber by the name of Shukbang, got their YouTube channel deleted because she didn't like what they, this Shukbang. When I went to go to this person's page, right, he or she has a very funny YouTube channel, and they do like parodies and kind of like distort the original creators, videos or whatever. And so Veronica Wang didn't like whatever Shukbang put out there, got the poor person's channel taken down, and Nikocado did a reactionary video to Veronica, and it kind of spiraled from there. Okay, if I can find all the videos that I watched, I will link them down below. If you care to do your own research. So Stephanie in her video stated they met up prior to recording that the conversation about Shukbang and about Veronica Wang was going to be one of the topics in one of the videos that we're going to do. So as she was talking about the conversation that was going to be had, whether she was with it or not, there were no receipts for that. So she was just telling a story on what her and Nikocado was talking about. And Veronica Wang and Shukbang was a part of that topic. If I was Veronica, honey, personally, I would be so pissed off on both ends. Now, granted, she comes out later and says her piece on this whole situation, but the fact that both parties kept talking about me, I would have lost my mind. Like, if y'all say my name one more time. As Stephanie Soo is talking about the whole situation, about the conversations that she had with Nikocado, she was using a lot of psychological terminology that she came up with herself. She didn't make up the terminology. She was basically like labeling Nikocado and what he was doing. Now, this is my problem with that. See, this is where I feel like the whole entire internet is hypocritical, right? We talk about how we shouldn't come up with our own conclusions or assume, or whatever the case is. We shouldn't label anybody. We shouldn't be bullying anybody. And I feel like it happens on a regular basis, even from the people who state they're the ones that are being bullied, okay? Because you're kind of psychoanalyzing an individual, and that's not your right. You by yourself, you can feel some type of way, but now that you're putting it out in the public, you are literally putting out definitions of what you feel like a person did to you, as if you have the degree or magnitude to do this. The psychoanalysis wasn't your call, Stephanie. So sorry. It just isn't. So if you felt uncomfortable, and that's the thing. So she said that she felt uncomfortable. She just didn't know how to say no. And in all 3 videos, she didn't put a video on her channel. All 3 collaborations were on Zach's channel, which is another mukbanger, and 2 on Nick's channel. I looked for body language on everybody's end, and I'm just like, okay. And the only person that I thought that was level-headed and didn't seem as quirky or, I don't know, just extra was Zach. As far as Stephanie and Nikocado, they kind of matched each other's energy. You know what I mean? There wasn't a moment where I felt like, well, damn, that was weird. Nikocado comes off, like if you watch any of his videos, he is very energetic, very extra, has a lot of attitude in all of his videos. All of them, right? in the text messages that she was exposing, it was like, well, did you not know that's how his personality was when you started talking to him? So I'm gonna be honest with, when I first saw the video and with all the crying and stuff, and I'm not saying that to minimize anybody's feelings or how she came across, but again, I'm very direct, and I don't know how else to explain certain things, but be direct and not coddle anybody or anything. I initially wanted to hug her. I don't like to see anybody cry. But then once you stop crying, girl, we're gonna talk about, like, well, hold on, what happened? So she spoke on that Nikocado was exhibiting Tory behavior, and then she inserts a clip from another YouTuber by the name of Shade Bang, right? Insinuating that Nikocado was a predator because it was a parody, kind of. Nikocado, apparently, I had never saw the original video. Nikocado Avocado made a video that he was eating and he was doing a story time. It was about like a date gone bad. I guess him and his husband have a open relationship, yada yada. He's in New York, gets on Grindr, tries to hook up with somebody. They talked about hooking up according to Nikocado. They talk about hooking up. They didn't. Nikocado talks about all the money he spent and dude didn't put out, right? I want to tap into the situation just a little bit. When I think of a predator, I don't know if I've said it on here. Everybody knows, at least for those who have watched me for a while, I have stated I used to be a resident counselor for adolescent offenders, for males, and then after being a resident counselor, went to nursing school. After nursing school, went back to behavioral health, went back to working with male sex offenders. I know a little bit about predatory behavior. Some people are just hypersexual, just like it. And if there has been a discussion, which nobody will never know, the true conversation between Nikocado and that other individual. But anywho, so then he goes on and he rants about how horrible and basic this guy is. Now, I will say the video was cringy. It was like, dude, one, you have an audience. Okay, why did you feel the need to go online to basically, it looks like you put out money in hopes to get some ass and you didn't. Like, you look desperate as all hell is what you look like. That these dating apps are just a pool of inappropriate behavior. Tell me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment down below. But be honest. So put a label on a person that they are a predator. Like, does anyone not think that's pretty heavy? I don't know Nikocado Avocado. I don't know Stephanie Soo. I don't know any of these people. As an adult, do you think that what he put out there, and I'm okay with whatever it is that you tell me, but do you think by him saying the things he said is an appropriate term for a predator? A little pervy, maybe. Not even that. He just seemed very desperate. She made a statement that she was scared of Nikocado's anger. I had to go back to watch other videos that weren't pertaining, just to get a feel for someone's attitude and demeanor. Some of his videos on the Nikocado Avocado too, dude has like 3 or 4 channels. Like my boy Peter has a whole bunch of channels. To each his own, but it's just so many. Like Nikocado Avocado has about 3 or 4, right? So on his second YouTube channel, it was more of a tea spilling kind of reactionary, channel, to where he would watch other mukbangers, at least the ones I saw, watch other mukbangers and react to their drama or just react to some of their videos or whatever. I was waiting to see if maybe I saw anger. Didn't see it. I don't know of any other situations that he got angry. What I do know and what I have heard, that he is a manipulator. Everything that Stephanie Soo had said or insinuated, I have heard from other people, even people that I chit chat with online, that he has a history of just doing the most. And like I will tell you, and like how I told them, I can't place judgment on people, one, that I don't know. I can't place judgment on what people have done in the past, because I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? This is what drew me in, this situation at hand. And because I'm dabbling into commentary, I have to stick with what I see here. When people text each other and someone might be a little bit upset, it is hard to translate someone's feeling through via text. It just is. It may sound a little crazy, but if you can't hear someone's tone, you can't automatically assume that someone is snapping off at you. I mean, I guess all caps is the insinuation of yelling, but then some people use all caps because they like all caps. Like, you just don't know. All of this kind of just went about because she was supposed to meet up with him. I answered his calls, didn't answer his text. So he got a little fiery. You kind of have to understand, well, if he was a little snappy without knowing that you were uncomfortable when y'all were recording and all this other stuff, like, can you really blame him for being slightly annoyed? So I feel like in her first video, she is entitled to feel how she feels. She didn't want to do another collab. It was a collab the next day. Didn't want to do another collaboration with him. Finally disclosed to him that she was uncomfortable with him. He gets on his petty boots gang and then goes onto his Instagram and kind of like alludes to certain situations that occurred to him. He wanted to expose her. Not her, but wanted to expose somebody, was feeling some type of way. So he was in his feelings on Instagram. Nobody knew who he was talking about. Well, I don't follow him on Instagram, but this is how she's telling the story, so this is how I'm giving it to you. Nobody knew what the situation was other than her, him, and whoever he told. But her name wasn't listed in the whole situation that he was even talking about her. So she's lurking on his IG page, right? She's lurking. He's saying, you know, because in her text she puts like she was in and out of sleep and this is why she's just tired, blah, 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 can't meet up. So the phrase in and out was a bothersome term for her. Not minimizing, just stating. And he made fun of it, right? So on his Instagram, he's joking, laughing, carrying on with his friends. Nobody knew. And when he did state, and this is before we know of anything else, he did state that he's going to possibly expose someone. Again, nobody knew who he was talking about. She saw it, and I feel, in my opinion, because she was lurking, she was over on his page, minding his business, she beat him to the punch. And I feel like, in my opinion, that after seeing what he was doing and after him stating that he was going to expose somebody, she, in my mind, this is how I see it. Let me come out with my video first. My opinion. That's how it comes across to me, especially on how she explains it. I was on his IG, saw what he said, then a video comes out. No one thought about that? So in Stephanie's video, she talked about Nikocado taking pictures without her permission. The first photo that he puts up is that Stephanie Soo, if I can find it, I'll put it in here, but at this point, I think everybody has seen this photo. So he puts a photo of Stephanie in the shot where she's sitting at her island or whatever, and he took a picture of the entire kitchen. It just wasn't of her lighting. It was of the entire kitchen, and she had an issue. She had an issue that her security footage was in the shot. I am going to, and the only reason why I'm going to put this in here because I feel like this is where she was a little like overdoing it with him stating that he was putting in pictures that didn't matter. I found articles on Google of, was it Dirt? I'll put it up here somewhere, where there was a complete house tour. Her security footage or her security camera, the monitor, was in the shot, not blurred. It was published, honey. It was published. So did you not have an issue with them publishing your entire house and your security monitor? Was it not an issue for you? And I went on to her second her second YouTube channel. Is it Muck Bliss? I don't know, or Miss Mango. Her security monitor is in some of her videos, unblurred, like you could see it. So I understand that you don't want people taking pictures of your house without asking your permission, but don't make it seem as if he took pictures of your house that the rest of us are not able to Google and find. So she stated that she allowed him to take that one picture and that one picture only, and then when she went to the bathroom, he took multiple other pictures. In his video, he shows different spots of where he took pictures. He did a screenshot when he was on FaceTime with his husband. He showed another picture of him doing a selfie, the kitchen. Was there another picture? There might have been, but all in that same area. How it comes off to me that he took multiple pictures in the same area that he was sitting in. Like, again, selfie, same area. You can tell that he was either facing the kitchen itself, his back was up against the sitting area, took a selfie there, took a picture of the kitchen and the couch area, which he was all in that one area. I don't see any other pictures unless there are other pictures that I don't know about, but it was all in the same area. So it's just like when your safety, when you question that your safety is at risk, or you feel like your safety is at risk because he has exposed your house, it's like, we can Google your house, girl, and see the front, the back, and the inside of your home. So with the text messages, he goes and he starts talking about the text messages about Veronica. Lord have mercy. I'm sick of talking about her. About Veronica and whatever they were supposed to discuss. To me, I feel like these text messages on both parties are like null and void. Y'all are no better than each other. Like, y'all are both exposing conversations that took place between the two of you. Y'all both was bringing up this chick name after a whole year have gone by, whether it was to resolve a situation or to ignite the situation all over again. Talk about new content which y'all both can create versus bringing someone's name up. So for me, I looked at the text messages as them two being childish, tick for tack. Well, this is what you said. Well, this is what you said. It was just too much. And after a while, you don't even want to follow the text messages because to me, it was about a conversation between the two of them. It didn't state anything that was, for me, considered bullying. I will say that Nikocado has more of an attitude. It comes off having more of an attitude than she does. So I had stated this in a previous video. Real friends don't hold on to messages to expose text messages. You just don't. Regardless of who's right and who's wrong, and especially in this situation where both parties are big personalities or public figures, it's like, you know, if you expose one, the other person's coming for you. So there's a risk that you're taking by exposing people. Has anyone not learned this yet? You try to expose a person, trust and believe you me, they're going to come back with information about you, honey, that people want to start to research and kind of dig into you. So it's like, if it's not like super heavy to where you have truly been hurt or harmed, I would fall back and not do a whole lot of exposing. Ultimately, I feel like this is where I feel like he went wrong. If someone tells you that they do not want to collaborate with you, hell, even if they ghost you, ghosting is not cool. Standing a person up isn't cool, but you're going to have to be okay with people not wanting to deal with you. You can't interrogate them to death. You can't go on this journey of exposing people because they don't want to deal with you. You have to say, okay, well, if they don't want to deal with me, they just don't want to deal with me, move on. Is it going to hurt? Is it going to sting? Sure. But again, in the position that you are in, you are mad childish to keep egging a situation on when a person doesn't want to deal with you. If someone says they're uncomfortable with you, acknowledge the fact that they're saying, hey, you made me feel a little weird, and say, okay, well, that was never my intention to make you feel some type of way. Let me apologize for that. And continue to be mad to why they decide not to deal with you. But acknowledge what they're saying versus having an attitude and then going on social media to make fun of an individual. You know what I mean? Nikocado Avocado, you kind of expose yourself when you're sitting here and talking to your friend Zach Choi, which is another mukbanger. I don't know if I said it or not. You two are having a conversation back and forth. You were wrong for not letting him know that you were going to, one, show these text messages, and two, is just like, again, you don't hold on to your messages to put all your friends out on Front Street because you're trying to prove a point. The messages between you and Zach should have stayed between you and Zach to not pull him in your foolery. You were dead wrong for that. And if you state in the text messages that you're not a big fan or you don't like Stephanie like that, or you stated that you don't like Stephanie like that, why collab with an individual that you don't really care for? So you want to use a person In my opinion, I feel like that Nick was right when he stated that Stephanie did insinuate the fact that there was some form of sexual assault pertaining to him. Whether she meant to or not, the insinuation was there. And that's the part that I feel like the majority doesn't see. Now, this is the funny thing about PTSD, flashbacking, dealing with all that. If you've ever been in a situation where someone has did something to you, you have ever been in trauma, the slightest thing can trigger a negative thought, a negative feeling, and a sense of fear. A person can say hello and it may trigger a person who has had some form of trauma based on how the person said it, their tone, who said it, even if the person looked like they're an offender. You know what I mean? There's so much to that. But I just don't feel like he did anything that should have linked them two together. Even if she was taken aback by his demeanor throughout the whole situation, that's something that I don't feel like should have been processed online. People can say that Nikocado is cringy, because he is a little bit cringy. He's a jerk, he's whatever. Y'all can get all of them. I can understand all of that. I got all those vibes. Him being who he is isn't new. So with knowing all of that, knowing his personality, it's like, okay, so why do you want to collaborate with a person that is all of this negative stuff? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, now he's bad? Like, if you claim he was bad then, he should still be bad now. It's only been a year since, I guess, the last situation with the Veronica Wang person. What made you want to deal with him now? And Nick made a valid point that 6 million people saw Stephanie's video, had an opinion off the bat that what type of person he was. He also stated that, nobody knew who he was until that video, which is true. I'm a person who can validate that. Either person, I didn't know either one was before this situation here. After watching her video, you can't prompt a person to continue to listen to another person's side. You can't say, okay, well, after I watch this video, let me go hear his side of things. You can be a fan of hers, saw her video, and then we're like, you know what? He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, which people did, and not hear his side of the story. And how's that fair? I say this to anybody. Put yourself in another person's shoes. How would you feel if someone automatically start gunning for you without really knowing your side? How would you be okay with that? So in Nick's video, he talks about, her plugging in her merch. She, what a convenient time to plug in her merch, yada, yada, yada. He just felt like that was a valid point to throw out there. Like, okay. Nick stated that, so Stephanie did have a clip in her video making fun of his stuttering. I really couldn't hear the stuttering, but she did have a little caption and she was like, oh, I just had to. And I didn't know what that meant until I saw his video, and he stated that in that part of the video he started to stutter, and then she put the whole entire alphabet in it, making fun of the stuttering. If somebody has a speech issue and you made fun of that, is that not considered bullying? In this part, we're talking about the whole in and out situation that really triggered something in Stephanie to comment on, feel some type of way, to have a panic attack, not making fun, but this is where it really rooted from. So when Nikocado Avocado was on his IG page making fun, created a whole jingle with his friends, he drugged some people into the situation that didn't know what was going on. So there is another mukbanger by the name of Honey Eats that made an apology video in reference to the in and out jingle. Probably she didn't know that it triggered something in her, that she was assaulted and apologized for not knowing, and yada yada. So the fact that Honey Eats makes a video apologizing for taunting her and not knowing that she was sexually assaulted based on the whole in and out situation goes back to the insinuation that Stephanie Soo insinuated the fact that, or alluded to the fact that Nikocado Avocado actually assaulted her. Can't apologize for an action that didn't occur. It was just the whole feel, the vibe of the situation that gave off. There was some form of inappropriate situations it came off that way, period. I can't put it no other way. It came off that way, and clearly Honey Eats had to apologize for something that really didn't happen, at least in the Nikocado Avocado situation. So Nick, he stated that he has read comments of people wanting him to die or he should die, take himself out, just hurtful comments. And this is my question to the audience, to the fans, stands, whatever you want to label yourself as, to these people. When you are picking a side, right? And you're like, okay, you're rocking for who you support. Or what gives you the right to go into someone's comments and say the most horrendous thing you could possibly think of and place it in their topics, in their comments? To say you wish a person dies because he made someone feel uncomfortable because he was trying to get her to talk about something I guess they agreed to talk about. Like, the whole situation is dumb. Okay, I can't stress that enough. It's dumb. She felt uncomfortable. Boom. He needed to apologize to make her feel weird. Apparently, he never did that, at least in the text messages. But nothing in those messages gave any, whether or not you think that he is the worst person on this planet, doesn't give you the right or anybody else to sit here and say he shouldn't be on the planet anymore because he made your girl feel weird, and vice versa. I don't know if people are doing that to her. She didn't say that people were making, ill comments to her. So why is that okay? Let me tell you something. Let me just go ahead and get this off my chest right now. God forbid, knock on wood, I get into a spat with anybody here on YouTube. I don't want anyone coming to my defense. And this is why. Because there's always going to be parts of a situation that you do not know. I can sit here and tell you off the top, I don't like to argue, but I know how to do it. I don't like to fight, but old as I am, I will do it if I have to. So I'll be okay. But you have to understand there's missing pieces to the puzzle that you will never know. So you just can't insert yourself and assume you know everything. You just can't. You can come up with your conclusions like we're doing right now. You can come up with your conclusions, but you can't put the whole puzzle together because you don't have all the pieces. So don't insert yourself. Don't start going into other people's comments, cursing them out, telling them about themselves and their mother, kids, and everything else and where they should go. That's ill. That's rude. At this point in life, with people getting in front of a camera, you wouldn't think that you would have to sit here and say, how would you want to be treated? How do you want people to talk to you? If you don't want someone to talk to you this way, then don't talk like that to other people. If you can't take the heat, if you can't handle it, honey, try not to dish anything. Because it comes back tenfold. It just does. And stop throwing terminology out there like y'all know what y'all talking about. When Nick starts talking about his separation anxiety and, being adopted and the whole breast milk, I'm sorry. It really, really bothered me. Like, sir, the violins were playing. I'm not taking away the fact that you were adopted. It doesn't help your case any better. Like, I could understand you don't like rejection. You don't like rejection just because you just don't like it. I don't like rejection either. So I just feel like it wasn't relevant in the situation. Like, separation anxiety does not go along with rejection. Now, the rejection piece, like if you were saying that you suffer from people rejecting you and being adopted and that whole, I get that. But separation anxiety? And at the end of his video, he apologizes for igniting any flashbacks that he sparked off with Stephanie Soo. He apologized for making her feel some type of way. So in her second video, it's like never ending. So in her second video, she starts off by stating that she wanted to move on, work on healing herself, turning something bad into somewhat of a positive situation. But of course, she created merch with the whole In and Out situation, and it went into like Stop Bullying, a bullying organization, foundation, or whatever. But even with, again, that initial statement, you're trying to move on and you're trying to heal. What is it that you're trying to heal from? Is it overall your initial situation that triggered you into the mindset that you are in now? Or are you healing from the spat that you had between you and Zach? Because all it is, it's an argument. So in her second video, I feel like there was a lot of chit chat about her house yet again. And it was just a lot of filler information. Like, I didn't think that it didn't prove anything. Now, when it came down to the text messages, it was like somewhat like, okay, like I see where you're getting at. If you have an issue with anyone being in your home, if you have an issue with people asking about your things, you have the right and will always have the right to say, I'm not telling you. So Stephanie points out in one of Nick's pictures that he took or whatever, she pulled it off of his video of him facing like the stove and stuff, and it looks like he was taking a picture. From that security footage, you don't know if he was taking a selfie of himself, because he did show in his video that he took a selfie of himself, or whether or not he was taking pictures of whatever else was in the kitchen. You can't tell by the security footage. She was trying to prove that that was a time where she went to the bathroom and he was snapping pictures. He took a selfie. He put it in his video that he took a selfie, and that security footage doesn't prove he was snapshotting nothing. Now, and whatever footage that he won't release, she can't release, or whatever, may have the truth where he was in there doing the most with his camera. But in that particular footage, in that particular picture, it doesn't really prove. That could have been when he was doing his selfie. And all you really saw in that selfie was the frames, not frames, the shelves, or whatever. You didn't see much. Soo's fiance chimes in and stated that while Nick was there, he had his phone pointed at his face when it should have been pointing towards whatever food they were preparing, yada yada. Because I think they did record a video that Stephanie never put up, and he found that odd, but he didn't want to tell him that because Soo's fiance is very private and he doesn't like his face being plastered all over the internet or whatever. But I want to say that when I Googled her house, I also saw a picture of him, but I don't know, but doesn't like his face being plastered all over the place, which he has that right to not be filmed or whatever the case is. And he said that he didn't want to bring that to Nick's attention because he didn't want to come off crazy, which is baffling to me, to where everybody can sit here and state they're uncomfortable, they don't understand why people do certain things, but then they really don't speak up and say anything. Now, this is so minute that he could have said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just noticing your phone and it looks like it's pointing at my face, and I hope you didn't take any pictures. I'm not saying that you did, but I'm very private, so I'm hoping that that my face wasn't caught. And if so, can you make sure that you delete it? Like, what is the harm? You don't sound crazy if it's a well-known fact that you do not like your face being in anything. To me, I just feel like this whole situation is all over the place. That again, you really can't say who's right, who's wrong, because a lot of it comes off petty, but we weren't there, so you don't know. Nikocado Avocado is that scary that boundaries couldn't have been set initially before filming, before anything took place. Like, no boundaries could have been placed, especially when you really don't know people. You're really just now getting to know folks. Everybody's met over the internet. You don't know how people live. You don't know how people act. Like, no one's placing these boundaries. Now, when Stephanie did expose some of Nick's hypocrisies when she posted Zach's messages with his permission, and also too, Zach Choi did put a statement out on his IG stories about how he didn't give Nick permission and yada yada. This is where you lose me with Stephanie altogether. So even if I was initially feeling like, oh, poor Stephanie, when the grinder person, supposedly, because we don't know if it's the true grinder person, sends a message to her about, the video that Nick made about, the guy, that was me, and this is how he made me feel, and she proceeds to go through the messages. Nikocado did make a statement in that video about the Me Too movement. I feel like, in my personal opinion, because I feel like people don't know how to differentiate when someone is really feeling some type of way about the Me Too movement, or someone's ranting about a whole situation and it just he said something stupid. Bringing that whole situation up, I felt like didn't apply. Like, keep it between you and Nick, and if that person wants to discuss whatever occurred to him, allow him to do it. Now, granted, he said that she could have the go, but it's like, why did you feel like it was okay? But no, you felt like it was okay because you want to continue to feed that narrative that he is a predator. Yeah, that's not okay. That video was deleted. Shade Bang made a video about it. Go watch it and come up with your own conclusion. It just to me, and I watched it in its entirety, it just came off as if Nick was extremely desperate. I just don't feel like she should have brought it to anybody's attention. She could have, continue to keep this rapport. Like, maybe you and I can talk about it because this is what happened to me, and share your similar stories if they're similar at all. Build that rapport with another person. To post something when it's his word against the other person's word and your word, it's like it's too much to be. And truly, I know that I heard that she's suing Nikocado Avocado. She has said that her lawyers will be involved. But don't you think that his lawyers can be involved too if he is being labeled as a predator and has not been proved to be a predator? A date gone wrong. So you're feeding this fire with like empty allegations, other than the fact that he actually made you feel uncomfortable because you didn't want to talk about something that he assumed that you were willing to talk about. All 3 videos were unnecessary. I didn't think that Stephanie should have jumped the gun with creating a video first. Since she was lurking, if I was her, I would have waited for him to expose and then have the guns ablazing. But from a viewer's perspective, it just looked like you wanted to not be exposed first. Nick was extremely childish about not accepting the fact that, one, someone doesn't want to talk about a situation. He was also childish in not accepting the fact that someone doesn't want to do a video with you. Like, no one has to do anything. We all have to, especially with this generation today, you have to stop, think before you react. Throw out your pros and cons list. If I were to turn on this camera to try to expose a person, what am I gaining and what am I losing? It's not okay to not keep your commitments, but it's okay to be uncomfortable and not stick to a plan if you feel like your comfortability is being compromised. When you tell someone that you're uncomfortable, that person that you're telling should be understanding that they're making you feel some type of way. The person that's receiving the message that, hey, you made me feel some type of way, should be understanding enough and apologize for making you feel that way. But that's a conversation that could be had between the two of you in private versus the rest of us to see. Because I feel like no one was in the right in this situation. Whether you had past issues that occurred, that doesn't give people the right to start labeling someone just because you were triggered by a trauma. No. One, if you go into therapy, they'll teach you coping skills that, okay, yeah, you may run into triggers, but how do you handle those triggers? Stop texting your every thought. Call a person. If you're trying to get something across, if you're trying to express yourself, call your friend. Talk to your friend if they are your true friends. Stop trying to assume how people are sounding, how people are feeling when they text. I mean, again, you have punctuation to express how the statement should go, but it's never like actually listening to someone. And Nick stated that he made the suggestion for them to talk on the telephone to discuss the situation in hand, and she declined it. But also on the flip side, the flip side of that is that she felt uncomfortable, so she probably didn't want to deal with the energy that Nick was giving off in person. So it's like, it's a lose-lose situation. If you're someone's real friend, you're going to care about their feelings. You're going to care about how this whole thing went down. You're going to be hurt by it. And the first thing wouldn't be, let me go bash them. Let me go expose them. That's not someone's natural reaction if they are real friends. You're going to fight with your friends. You're going to have disagreements. But there should be an opportunity where you guys sit down and talk about it to get over it. And for us viewers, in my opinion, we have to stop jumping the gun and picking a side so quickly. Stephanie came out with a video. She's automatically right. Homeboy's a dirtbag. And that's that. Just because a person has a reputation of being jerky doesn't mean they don't have the right to not be disrespected or be labeled as a person they may not be. One, we also have to remember that we don't know these people personally. If you're that type of person to start doing one of these and start mistreating people in the comments, the trash that you speak of, you're pretty much describing yourself. All have our preferences. We all will continue to rock out who we rock out with. But just be mindful, just because you're supporting another person or you choose to pick a side doesn't give you the right to be disrespectful, to be hurtful to the other individual. You don't have that right. I'm going to continue to not be subscribed to either party because I feel like both parties were in the wrong in this situation. And when you can't own up to your stuff, it's like, I'm an adult, so therefore I want to hang out with other adults. I want to support other adults. And if you cannot display any form of maturity, if you feel like your way to express yourself is to always put someone else down, if you feel like you have to run to the internet to get approval for every damn thing, I cannot associate myself with you. Now, for us content creators, the expectation should always be that we're coming to you with an unbiased opinion. We will all have our biases. That is a fact. When we're looking at a situation that involves 2 or more people, we can't just pick a side and assume the other side is horrible. We just can't. And we shouldn't, rather. We shouldn't sit here and just not listen to another person's point of view or another person's side of things because we may not like them. Okay, then how are you going to get the whole story? I personally don't feel like in this situation, Nikocado Avocado victimized anybody. I do understand that Stephanie Soo has gone through something and she was triggered by Nikocado Avocado's behavior. I wish these two the best. I hope they can overcome this situation separately. To me, I feel like in this instance, there's no way these two could ever be friendly, cordial, but ever come together to be friends. You call me a I'm never rocking with you. You make me feel uncomfortable in my own living space. You throw off all types of triggers. It's not safe for my mentality to be around someone who's making me feel that type of way. So I wish both of them peace, and I hope they can get past it. To be labeled as a predator, all types of negative stuff goes along with it. And if you have never been to court, you have never been, arrested to be such an individual, I need people to stop using it. Unless you're calling the police and pressing charges because someone actually was a predator and was actually doing predatory behavior, I need people to fall back on that terminology. I also need people to fall back on psychoanalyzing people and don't have a degree to fall back on. Like, relax. And that's that. Lord knows. I know that this video is going to be long as hell, and I'm sorry. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I definitely want to hear your side of things in my comment section. It's okay for us to disagree. Just as long as you're respectful. You can tell me how I'm completely wrong in this whole situation. My thought process is jacked and wired, or whatever the case is. You can sit here and tell me as long as you're being respectful. And if you want to connect with your girl on social media, I have become very active on Twitter. You can find me on everything Thalia's Eye Candy. That's on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, Lord. If you want to follow my weight loss journey, you can connect with me on Beauty from the Inside Out 365. That's my second Instagram page. And I will definitely catch you all in the next one. Thank you guys for watching and being patient. I appreciate it. Bye.